Today, I'm going to share with you some of the insights that Neville Goddard had in his amazing book called Out of This World. This is from chapter 1. It totally aligns with what I teach in my Mega Manifestation Method course, which you can get if you look at the link below, because I've been studying this stuff for over 50 years. I absolutely love the metaphysical teachers and what they teach us about how to use our minds to free ourselves from anxiety, from stress, from pain, from misery, from fear. Once you get over your fears, you can do a lot more amazing things because fear blocks us. The minute your body goes into that state of fear, if you're fearful of other people or what you hear on the news or what's going on in the world, it keeps you from being sovereign. So let's think about what Neville says in this amazing book, Out of This World. He quotes from St. John, chapter 14, verse 29, right away. And it says, "And now I have told you before it come to pass, that when it is come to pass, ye might believe." Now, what he's referring to, and that verse is referring to, is that once we understand that we can know things before they happen, we become prophets. And we all have that ability. We just need to know how to relax and listen. Many times I've had prophetic dreams. One time I was in Osaka, Japan on a layover, beautiful hotel room. I had this weird dream about an airplane that was flying around in a big circle, and everyone was looking up at it, wondering how it was going to land. I get back to my home in Massachusetts. I turn on the news, and there's United's Flight 232 catapulting down the runway in Sioux City, Iowa. And it had flown in a big circle because it had lost its rudder. And it was kind of like I had a premonition of that. Another time I had a dream of a building coming down. And I turned on the TV when I woke up in the morning, and the news was showing live this building going down in Oklahoma City. And I had dreamed the very same thing during the night, even though it hadn't happened yet. So Neville explains in this chapter that things that have not really happened in the three-dimensional world could already be happening in the fourth dimension, because there's a time lag. There is no time in higher dimensions. We have time here in the 3D world. And everything that has happened in the 3D world started in the higher dimensions, because this is the manifestation of the cause, which is God. And you are a co-creator using your mind to work with that divine energy if you so choose. Now, you have a carnal mind and you have a spiritual divine mind, which is the Christ consciousness. And if you learn how to work with your higher consciousness, like Neville explains in all the mystics, you need to learn how to go within. He has a beautiful way of explaining it. He says, step 1, you must get clarity on what you desire. And it has to be a desire, a really strong desire. Best times to manifest something into the 3D world is when you're up against the wall, you've got no choice, you surrender. You really need to move, or you really need that job, or you really want to meet someone that can help you. And it happens because the desire is strong. That's part of what makes things manifest. If it's lukewarm, not so good. So you need to get clarity and construct an event that will happen after you have manifested your desire. For instance, years ago, I wanted to build a house. So I wrote it in my notebook, the kind of house I wanted to build 2 miles from the beach. I walked through the rooms in my imagination. I felt like I was living in the house. Within a year, I built a house 2 miles from the beach, and it turned out to be just like I had imagined. I've done that a lot with moves because I've moved a lot as a crew member. And, if you feel like you're living in the place that you want to be in already, it will show up, because in the fourth dimension, the higher, the expanded realm, the spiritual dimension, there are no limits to how things can fall into place. In the three-dimensional world, we're limited, right? We can only see so far, hear so far with our senses. But with our higher mind, our spiritual sense, everything's possible. And that's what Neville explains so beautifully. So number one, you have to know what you desire. Number two, you have to go into that state akin to sleep, which is a meditative state. We call it the alpha theta level of consciousness, where your brainwave is slowed down and you're in your subjective consciousness. And you get into that state and you make the inner world more real than your outer world of senses. You shut down your senses. Your eyes are closed. If you tilt your eyes up behind your eyelids, it's easier to get into that state, as if you're looking at your third eye. It puts you in that altered state. You can be flat on your back, but make sure your head is straight. You can also do it sitting in a chair, but just totally relax and let go, and then visualize that end result. And you can pick an event that will happen, like I picked walking through my house before I built it, or even knowing where I would build it. You can picture yourself shaking hands with someone after you've completed something that you know you're going to get congratulated for, and you feel that feeling of satisfaction, fulfillment after it's finished, and it will effortlessly fall into place. I did that when I wanted to write a book. I thought I had to move to some exotic place like Paris or wherever to get the inspiration. And then I realized I could just write my book wherever I was. And I felt myself like I had written a book, and it fell into place. So I put that book out there too, called Secrets of a Metaphysical Flight Attendant. And it's all about how you can go on that journey. It's my memoir, but it'll give you some tips and hints on how you can do anything. Doesn't matter what your job is. I mean, I was a flight attendant, and I was able to find incredible teachers and have experiences that were so transformative. So once you go into that state akin to sleep and you make the action real, you have to really feel like you are living in that state, and you don't look back. You just accept you are living in that state that you desire to be in. And it doesn't matter how insurmountable the 3D world looks at the time that you do it. You would be amazed at how, if you learn how to go into that state akin to sleep, go within and really feel like you're experiencing that end result, it will happen. Get my course, The Mega Manifestation Method. It'll give you the meditations and the insights in every category of life as to how you too can use these metaphysical techniques to realize your dreams. I'm going to talk about Out of This World, the book by Neville Goddard, Chapter 2. It completely aligns with my course, The Mega Manifestation Method, which you can get if you go to my website, RebeccaTripp.com. And I'll even give you a free session with me if you buy my course, and a copy of my book, Secrets of a Metaphysical Flight Attendant. But in that session, we can really hone in on how you too can be a master manifester, because we all have the capability lying within us to be super beings, supernatural. The supernatural is actually very natural once you get the hang of it. But he talks about in chapter 2 that assumptions become facts in the three-dimensional world. What we're living with are the assumptions that we've already made about how we're supposed to be living. That's what our life is all about. And he also mentions that once we remove the veil of the senses, the five senses that we use to operate in the three-dimensional world, and we remove that veil, we go to the fourth dimension, the spiritual dimension, and we have options there. We can create our own waking dream. He claims that we have about 3 options usually for anything that's coming down the road for us. Maybe it's a move, maybe it's a career, maybe it's a relationship, but we don't have just one option. We don't have to live by default. We can actually consciously choose what we desire as the best option. And when we learn how to go within, the way Neville teaches us to do, we can actually become creators, co-creators with our higher selves, and get to live our lives in a whole different way. So if you want to change your experience, here's another tip he gives you in this chapter that I love. When you're going within, we all have friends, family, people in our lives, coworkers that we exchange communication with. You know, we run into people. Well, if you really want to assume a new attitude, to manifest your desire, you must envision yourself interacting with these people that are in your life in the way that you will interact when you have manifested what it is that you're working on. You can't just continue to exchange conversations with them in the old way that you were operating with before you had this strong desire to create a waking dream that was totally different from what you're experiencing right now. So if you imagine you're having conversations with family members and friends, and you are living as if your desire has been manifested right now, you'll have a different experience. And that is going to catapult the whole thing into operating in a much faster, exponential way once you understand that you can't just keep being that same old person that you always were. You must become the one you desire to be. Now, he also gives you 3 different steps to take to get clarity on how you can do this, how you can actually bring into your experience something that you desire. Number 1, you must be very clear on what it is that you want. You must really focus on it as something that you got to have it, and know that that is exactly what you want. It could be anything. Pick something. Could even be just more money would change your life. Some people do that. They realize that if they have more money in their bank account, then they can do certain things that they want to do, and everything else might fall into place. Or it could be living in a different place, or having a completely different kind of career. But if you get clarity on what it is that you want, that is very, very important. Every time I've been totally clear that I knew I was wanting to manifest a certain thing, it would come into my experience. Number 2, you must construct an event that will take place following the manifestation of this desire. It could be sitting in your new car, driving away. It could be sleeping in the bed in your new house. I've done this many times. It could be picturing yourself and feeling like you are actually working in that new career, and you fit in, you enjoy it, you're respected. Or it could be having a different kind of relationship with everyone in your life, feeling like everyone responds to you differently, and you have those conversations with these people that are very positive and uplifting and empowering and loving, and it all works out in a different way than the way it's going right now. Number 3, you must immobilize your body. That means go into a meditative state, that state akin to sleep, with your eyes closed, your eyes tilted upward behind your eyelids, looking up at the third eye, totally relaxed. You relax your whole body. That's where my Mega Manifestation Method course comes in. I have 2 relaxations in there that you can use to get into that state. And once you do it regularly, it's very easy to go there. It's called getting into the alpha theta level of consciousness, where you can use your imagination to visualize that end result that you desire. And so once you're there, you feel yourself right into it, in the now. It has to be in the now, not in the future. Don't dwell on the past. Forget about the past. Let the dead bury the dead. You know, you must let go of the past and live in the now. Right now, you are experiencing that end result that you desire, whatever it is. And, you know, it has to be within the possibility area, within your own life experience. But as you keep doing it and practicing, you move higher and higher and higher up the ladder, and you're manifesting more and more effortlessly. And you can go, each step gets better and better. So don't hold back. There are always several futures for you to experience that are coming down the road for you. And what you've been doing and living in your past and your present is what's having an impact on the kind of future you're going to live. But when you begin to become really aware and really conscious of the concept that you can go into that other dimension where you shut out your senses and you feel what you desire like it's already happened, it has to happen. Today I'm talking about chapter 3 in that book by Neville Goddard called Out of This World. It's a wonderful book. Chapter 3 is called The Power of Imagination. Now, if you go to my Mega Manifestation Method course, which you can find on my website, you can really work with these principles every day and have the most amazing meditation to get you to this level of consciousness that you need to be at, where when you're imagining something like it's real and it's already happened, it has to manifest. One of the points he covers in this chapter that's very powerful and very insightful is, you know, we have to do unto others as we would have them do unto us. That's the golden rule. It's the essence of every great religion. The reason is all the ancients and all the mystics know that whatever you're thinking and holding in your own heart about your fellow human being, your neighbors, your friends, your family, if it's negative, you're actually thinking that about yourself, because your consciousness only knows yourself. Be it good or bad, whatever the thoughts are that we're holding, we will manifest in our experience. So it's really important to look upon everyone in a non-judgmental way and expect the best for them. Expect them to be living their lives fully, freely, in a happy, positive way, rather than judging them for doing things that you don't like. Let it go. That's one big point that he makes in this. And it's very, very important, because any kind of blocks that you have in your subconscious mind can keep you from experiencing what it is that you're trying to manifest. I'll give you an example. Years ago, I had an acute appendicitis attack. I called a spiritual healer to get some help. It was the worst pain I've ever had in my life. As soon as this person started praying for me, I heard a voice say, "Love that man with all your heart." I was harboring some very, very negative feelings toward an individual that I didn't really even know that well, but he was messing up a rental situation I was involved in New York City. And I realized as soon as I heard this voice that I needed to release him mentally. And I did. And I felt an immediate adjustment in my right side. I knew I was healed, and I was. That's how it works. You have things buried in your subconscious mind that you need to dig out like weeds and get rid of, because you're growing a garden in your consciousness. And if you want it to be full of beautiful flowers and beautiful experiences, you can imagine all that is lovely and of good rapport if you so choose. The choice is up to you. But if you're thinking evil, negative thoughts, you can manifest some very bad situations at the same time, because your greatest fear can come upon you. So your imagination is the key to the I am that's within you. All the mystics and the ancients knew that the essence of us is I am that I am. I am God within. When you understand how to work with your imagination to focus on what you desire, then you start to get all the help you need. Because if it's a good thing, if it's a win-win situation, if you're trying to do something positive on this planet, you have a clear conscience and you will get help from your higher self. Your higher self knows how to go out and find everything that you need so that it lines up perfectly in order to make something manifest that we are focusing on. But you need to focus on the end result in your imagination. And whenever you go within and you do the work to achieve what it is you're trying to achieve, pick an event that will happen once you have completed that, and really feel like you're living, shaking someone's hand, being congratulated, walking around that house that you want to move into, or whatever it is. The end result is what you want to focus on. And when you get to the place where, when you go into that other dimension, your inner subjective consciousness, which is really a different dimension, just like when you're sleeping at night and you have a dream, you're not in the same dimension that you're in with your five senses. That dimension is more real than the three-dimensional world. And when you go in there, there is no time. You can claim it right now. Feel the end result as if it's happened now. And then it will effortlessly show up in your life. And I've proven it over and over and over again, and so did Neville. So I suggest you try it and enjoy and have some fun with it. Today we're talking about chapter 4 of Neville Goddard's amazing book, Out of This World. He titled this chapter, No One to Change But Self. Now, if you get my course, the Mega Manifestation Method, I teach you how to use these principles in all categories of life. And I'll even give you a free session. There's some meditations in my course that will help you get into that state of the wish fulfilled, which you need to go to in order to transform your life in the way that you desire it to be. As Neville says, your assumptions about yourself are the most important things that's happening in your life, because your life is whatever you're assuming about yourself. And if you want to upgrade, you want to make changes, you want to have a better experience, you don't want to go out and try to change things in the three-dimensional world. That will happen naturally once you have assumed that attitude that you're going to have when you are living the wish fulfilled. The world will just magically melt away as you know it. People will show up, experiences will show up, things will happen that will put you in that experience that you're desiring. Once you learn that it's all about how much you can believe when you go within that it's already happening. That's the secret. The secret is believing that you really are that better version of yourself. And if you want to change, you need to work on yourself. All you have to do is a little bit of meditation every day, but walk around in your experience feeling like you're living in that upgraded version, and it will magically show up in your experience. I've seen it happen over and over and over again. I've trained thousands of people on how to do this, and it's amazing. I highly recommend that you get my course, the Mega Manifestation Method, and get a free session. And we'll really work on figuring out what it is that you might desire that would change your life for the better, and how you can get rid of those blocks that might be keeping you from experiencing that. Because the more you get clarity on what it is that you desire, the more it will just pop into your experience effortlessly.